Meeting ID 996-0095-8300. Passcode 3335-514.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 2, introduction of new PCA Commissioner, John Puskar, resident of Aspetuck Village. Item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes, a special meeting dated August 13th.
6 digits.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4A, assistant to the Wpca, report.
Can I add that thing first, though?
Oh, add that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add, as 5C, to the agenda, 5C to talk about the Infonet by Pete.
Motion by Don to add 5C Infonet,
Yeah, you can.
Motion to add to the agenda.
second by Ed. Anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
John, have one?
John, this is added.
4A, assistant to the
Okay,
WPCA.
activity regarding fog, with the restaurants being somewhat closed, as I mentioned last month, we're still coming out of it. But what's interesting that's happening, like I said, there's a transitioning going on between one owner to the other owner.
Matt, that's the name.
Joined the meeting.
Matt, you on,
Matt.
you on board, Matt?
Matt?
Matt, you?
Karen?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry, Pete.
Awesome.
Karen there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. All right. As far as new restaurants go, on Howe Avenue, across from the construction site where it used to be Webster Bank, Caribbean restaurant going in there. There's a new ice cream, restaurant, shop that is going to be, located at 891 Bridgeport Avenue, the complex where Goddard School is. It's, I guess down a little ways from, Dutchess, on the right-hand side going down towards Bridgeport. One of those storefronts will be an ice cream facility. And they have an outdoor trap. I forgot to mention, the first one, by the way, is an indoor trap. We have another change of restaurant owners at a sushi restaurant, and that's at River Road in the complex that's occupied by Morgan Carpet, where Casanova Restaurant is, okay? And they're on an indoor trap. We drew a sample and tested it for 4 Research Drive at their request, because they previously failed, like before this corona thing came in, and they came back with 5 milligrams per liter, which is way below 100, obviously, so they're passing. The only issue now is they got to reopen the restaurant that occupies that building. That's the building where United Health is on Research Drive. Any questions so far? We passed this out and talked about Infonet. Just let me give you a little update on it. Is it okay to talk about it now, or do I have to wait for that?
No, we have it on, here, 5C.
I see, okay. What we're in the process of doing is making Infonet. I'm the only user. I have a desktop and a tower on my desk that IT provided to us some years ago. It's got some internal workings.
Explain to them what Infonet means.
Sorry. Infonet is an asset management system, database system, and it's used, we've been using it for the last 10 years. I started 10 years ago. We basically have the entire sewer system on a database, and from that database, we're able to modify it, as we would say, so we can print maps, and we locate telephone poles, fire hydrants, we locate locations of sewer pipes, depths of sewer manholes. We have all the maps going back to the 1890s.
Hey, John, you might, and Bill, maybe you too, you might want to go up and see it someday if you get some time and stop by and see Pete. It's really interesting. It's a nice program, really interesting. Take a look at it.
It's, we have video files. We hire contractors to video the lines and clean the lines. we have all those videos attached to the actual pipe locations. We have manhole inspections attached to the manhole. So it's a quick, easy access that, we want to get Ernie on board with, so that if, I'm out on vacation or something like that, the flow keeps going, rather than have to go back to the paper maps. It takes a lot longer to locate things. So the process, basically, I'll summarize it for you, is we had to upgrade my tower software, not the hardware. We had to upgrade the software. We have a contract with Infonet. Innovise is the name of the company, as you'll see in the attached quotes. We have a contract with them, and a yearly contract that allows me to call the 800 number. That was chosen in lieu of me going to Colorado or England for training. Okay, because I've been working on computers since before John was born, probably in 1970 was my first year working on computers. Something I'm familiar with. So we're upgrading our software. That went really well. Dan has started the process of copying to the server. All right, Dan is the IT guy you saw in here before. All our video files, which is the largest chunk of real estate on my local system. Infonet is in the process of writing what we call a script that would allow us to move our entire system up to Dan's network, and then at that time we'll be able to have multiple users, okay? But that process is long and involved and tedious, and as Dan mentioned, we could be down for like a week or two, while Dan and Infonet and I work on this thing. The reason it won't be functional. The issue here is that you have what you call pointers, okay, in the database that point to the C drive, the D drive on my computer. And now it's that video file won't be there anymore. It'll be moved to a different piece of real estate on the network. And the person down in Florida I deal with, my Infonet person, is writing a script that will convert all of these pointers to the new locations.
Is that why my notification on the last thing on the computer was unrecognizable?
Why?
I don't know. It's on Gmail, and I'm not a computer guy, so I just went to something else. Forget about it.
That could be the reason why, yeah. It could be located in a different place. That's, because we got to do the same for the maps, we got to do the same for the manhole inspections, the videos, et cetera. The quote I got from Mr. Jim O'Keefe, there's two flavors. The first page really covers everything. You can look at the actual quotes that are attached, the blue and white copies. But there's two flavors. There's one that will allow you to have not only Ernie, but other users. And that's the higher price one, obviously, guys, okay? And then there's the one that will allow us just to have Ernie on, and that is the second.
So quote 72248 for $6,400.
Yeah.
Versus option 2 for $16,000.
Yeah.
So explain the $6,400 one. That's a single user.
That'll be me and Ernie only. Yeah.
You and Ernie only.
Yeah, and it'll still be located on the server, which is the good news. Because to put it on the server, also you have to get a different licensing. You have
it's on
different
Shelton server, not on a cloud solution.
Yeah, Shelton server. Yeah.
Right.
We presently have my server backed up in a cloud called Carbonite. We use Carbonite for that. When we go to the server, Dan, the IT guy, would be in charge of doing all the backups, and he has backups stored, I believe, at the police station and other locations, away from this site. So our tendency is to go with the less expensive one and not go with the higher price one. And
so explain the option 2, the floating license.
Floating license means that we would have Dan could get in there. We could have remote access for you guys.
We don't need it.
Yeah, and then
we don't need
a lot of bells and whistles is what I'm saying, and I think it's not a practical thing at this time. So we're looking for you guys to give approval for the lesser one and move on. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Any other questions? Matt, do you have any questions?
That's not me. I don't have any questions. It sounds like you thought it through, and I think having a license for you and one for Ernie makes the most financial sense.
Okay.
I'm also happy to hear that you're moving it to the city server. That's a great place to store that info.
Okay, Matt, thank you.
Well, even though it's on 5C, why don't we just vote for it now since Pete brought it up? First of all, are there any additional questions for Pete or Matt?
Totally confused. I'm not.
It's two, okay.
Basically, it boils down to me, rather than just me having access to it, he'll have access to it.
Yeah,
Which is what we want. That's,
I understand that.
okay.
I make a motion that we accept the lesser proposal made by Pete.
$64.80.
$64.80, yeah.
$6,480.
$6,480. Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Ed, seconded by Don. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Vote so ordered.
Any other questions?
You had your
And anybody wants to come up and get a
You had your
view of it?
chance.
Have it.
You had your chance. Superintendent's report.
It's just the highlights?
Ooh.
The highlights?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
The, water pollution control
don't pull a Jeff. Nothing. He knows what I mean.
For the month of August 2020.
Actually, just let him hold the microphone, that's probably better.
Okay, our average daily flow for August was 1.9 million gallons per day. Peak flow was 2.1 million gallons per day. We were in compliance with all our permit limits. Our effluent total nitrogen was 53 pounds per day. Our limit was 106, so we did well there. We shipped out 23 dry tons of sludge to Naugatuck. Our 4 SBRs are online. We've had no issues with safety, so that's 21 months of incident-free, free of accidents and first aid cases. Our safety training for the month was plant hazards and safety. Our chemical consumables were normal. We used approximately 2,200 gallons of disinfectant sodium chloride. We had no noise complaints, so we're up to 96 complaint-free months.
How about odor complaints? Let's make sure we talk about both of those, Ed.
We had no odor complaints, so we're up to 26 months without odor complaints
Or noise.
or noise.
Grease removal.
Our grease removal for the month did improve by 40 pounds for the total, reflecting the, the restaurants having limited capacity. Upper Route 8 was 80 pounds, Lower Route 8 was 120, River Road was 80, Lattice Place was 90, Meadowlark was 70, for a total of 440 pounds, 40 pounds better than last year. A big difference from when they first started, their cleanups, the virus struck.
So, just a comment here, looking at these numbers going back to the beginning of the virus, starting in, let's say March.
Everyone went.
As Tom and I have always spoken, and I know you guys know, the restaurants aren't the culprit, it's the homeowners that are the culprits. So when we look at these numbers go up, it's not because the restaurants weren't opened, it's because we're all cooking from home now.
Right, and all the grease was.
So if anybody thinks that it's the restaurants that are the problems, it's not the problem. That's one of the things that, I don't know, I've talked to a couple other chairmen at other municipalities, one in Stanford, a little bit the guy in Danbury. And nobody knows how to fix it, the residential side, nobody. I think a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we sent out a package in the mail,
Yes.
can the grease or something like that.
Yep.
And maybe it works for the first 2 months, and then everybody's just back to
It's flat.
dumping the macaroni, the sauce down the drain.
Right.
So if there's ever a way to do it, I'd love to know how to do it, because we're always gonna have grease. So the problem is, we go after the restaurants. Pete is
Yes,
here to go out to restaurants, and it's like, forget the restaurants.
Right. Eventually, it's only temporary, though. It's gonna go back to the restaurants eventually.
Yeah, but what we're looking at there, Steve, is that basically half of the grease, if you go back to March, that's in our system is coming from households. The other half, because if you're looking at it now, the restaurants were, like last month, 340 pounds in July for total, and 19, and this year we had 470. The restaurants are almost half of what's going into the system.
A lot of restaurants are either not open, limited hours,
Oh, yeah, right, that's,
takeout. But, you know, a year from now, it could be, go back to the way it was prior to March.
It's still gonna be a household.
Huh?
It's still gonna be the household.
It's gonna be, because Pete's visits, and, you know, that's his task. Go to all these restaurants, make sure the RGUs are working. You know, make sure their underground grease, traps are working, so. And I think Pete's doing a great job of it, so it's always residential. It's never, you know.
just so you know, I have some information that was passed to me. Danbury is investigating. I have an article. I'll bring it with me next month to the meeting, share it with everybody. They're investigating at the pump stations or at a location of extracting the grease, putting it through a centrifuge, and then using the grease to power the pumps. I'll bring that with me. They just started looking at this and investigating it in Danbury. So I'll touch base with Doug Brown up there, who's my counterpart up there, and find out how far they got on this thing. So
Be interesting to see how they collect it.
yeah.
That's the main thing, I think, as far as turning into biodiesel, that's just a thing I'm going for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Which is a good idea, if it can be extracted easy enough.
Yeah, I would think it would mean an overhaul at the pump stations, you know, where we're catching the grease, you know, but I'll bring that next month.
Pete, this is Matt. Pete, we could also buy you a diesel car and then run the grease through that, and then you can run your car on French fry grease for you.
We could do that. Yeah, we'll look into that. Actually, they gotta be McDonald's French fries.
Or Chinese food grease works really well too. I read.
You want to let Ed finish? Steve has a question.
Go back to, say, a year ago, looked at the numbers. Were they still, it wasn't residential then, though?
Right in front of you.
So right here.
Numbers there.
See on the bottom, 20 versus 19?
2020.
Okay.
So, it stayed the same, but what we're saying is, you know, if you see an uptick, like in May, that was, like Michael pointed out, that's probably because everybody was home in May cooking. And, same thing with March, 790. You know, the restaurants were closed we know they were closed, locked down at that point, or doing takeout. Many of them were doing takeout. Takeout, by the way, or paper dishes, definitely takes away from the grease going into the system. You know, so, you know, like the restaurants that have glass dishes are generating a lot more grease, let's say, than the takeout places. Go ahead, Anna.
All right, Ed.
Okay, for maintenance, our preventive maintenance program went as usual. For corrective maintenance, we replaced the fuses for our decant valve number 1, replaced the influent level sensor transmitter, repaired the effluent defoamer pump, calibrated our CO2 probes, our disinfectant probes. Our 2020 work schedule going along well. All SVRs are currently online, and our future work to keep on top of all equipment with daily checks and repairs as needed. Our overtime schedule was as normal. And one other thing, in November, we will be receiving a check from the state for approximately $9,500. This is for last year's, for 2019, nutrient removal. This year, so far, we're doing much better on the refund end. So at the end of the year, hopefully we'll receive a check in the neighborhood of $70,000 plus for our nitrogen removal,
Ed or Garrett in the plant? Gary, you have any? Hearing none, move on.
This here,
Huh?
the green, this one?
Yeah.
That tells you, we're tracking as we go.
Are you doing this now, or Pete, you doing it?
No, I did.
Oh, good, perfect, because since Steve's gone, this is perfect.
There should be a bar, or a chart with it, too. There's supposed to be.
Must have been a separate
That's
page.
all right, don't worry about it.
We don't have,
This is actually really good. So 66,000.
as of right now, but as years on, it'll increase.
Hopefully it'll keep
Every month we're below 106, the number could go up.
so we have 4 months.
Using last year's number, though, so it
Oh, yeah.
could change. I won't know exactly, so I'll get that figured out.
Thanks for doing that. Next item, connection fees. 5B. I'm sorry, budget worksheet, 4C. Here's one we need to try to get together. This was, again, a Steve thing, and Steve did a good job of keeping up with this thing. Hasn't changed much, we're still pretty much where we're expecting to be going.
A separate sheet.
Huh?
See that one? Just for July.
Yeah. Well, that's the financial statement at the bottom. That's the last one, that's item 70. So right now, there's not many, I don't see anything anything, Ed, Don, anybody else?
No, I don't either. We don't even know if it's current or not.
Well, that's always been the problem, is Steve's always tried to get this thing current, and that's the hard part about this thing. I have a tendency just to make sure we're not, where we're going. I don't necessarily, I do read each individual balance piece of it. But that's as far as I look. I don't get into the details with anybody, because it's hard, because we don't get the updates necessarily. Any questions on the budget worksheet?
Nope.
5A, Fuss and O'Neill status report, Matt?
Hey, it's been a pretty quiet month, doing any major project for you guys. The only thing that's really ongoing is having those, the 5 flow meters out in the collection system, and, still haven't gotten the big rainstorm. I don't know. Maybe we're just not gonna get any tropical storms this summer, which probably not a bad thing for the state, but for the trying to find that inflow spike, it makes it pretty much impossible. So the good thing is you're not renting the meters, so we can just buy new batteries and try again next year if we don't get any really heavy rain weather patterns. Other than that, it's been quiet.
That's it, Matt?
That's all I got, Mike.
You forgot the donuts and coffee, Matt.
Any updates on Shelter Ridge?
I don't think he heard you, Don.
Matt, any updates on Shelter Ridge?
No, I don't have any updates on Shelter Ridge. What did you want to know about them in particular?
Same as I've been asking for last year. Are we gonna make them do anything, or are we gonna absorb the cost
No, we're
of doing it?
gonna make them do it.
Well, that's
But
what
right-
you're saying, but when it's done and you're still here,
It's gotta come to us first, and then that's when, Don,
it came to us, and we talked about it for the last year.
yeah, but they have to come back to us, because it's not even formally through the whole process. So when it comes to us, that's when we put our foot down and say, here's what you're gonna do for us. Prior to you being here, 5 years ago, did it come up? I don't remember. At least 5 years ago, 4 years ago? You might remember. We sat down with, Tom, at one of the meetings with Tom Sim, And we talked about what we want them to do. But that, it's not formally in front of us. I haven't heard much about it. So once we do, trust me, you and every one of us are gonna have a chance to talk about it and put our foot down on it. And we were talking about making them put in their own, holding tanks and releasing all the sewage at nighttime, so it's not inundating the plant. You know, of course, pipe upgrades, I'd have to.
You're on it, so you're on it.
Yeah. And every one of us are gonna have a chance to make sure we're not letting them get away with anything. And remember, we're the last say here.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt, you all set?
Yeah, I don't know if, I'm gonna stay on because it seems like the next item on the agenda, you might ask for input, so, but,
Okay.
yeah, I'm all set.
Yep, stay there. Okay, 5B, connection fees. Okay, so I met with the mayor a couple of weeks ago. He is somewhat adamant that we don't go to $1,000. So we had a discussion about it. I said, Mark, you gotta understand, it was 15 years ago. He said, yeah, it's a big number, $1,000 increases. Don't look at it as $1,000 because that's how he views things, which is okay. He has a different way of viewing things than I do or anybody else. $1,000, he said, take that $1,000 over 15 years, and I did the math. It's 2.5% annualized. 2.5% annualized. Yeah, but it's a big number. And I said, okay, 50% is a big number. It's 52% or 51%. You're right. It's a big number. I said, but we're running out of money. We don't have any money to do our upgrades, and we need the money to do this work. Well, how about going to $500? I said, all right, well, it's going to be up to the board. It's not up to me. I got to, talk to the board at the next meeting about it. I said, but here's the thing about it. If we need money, and we don't have money because $500 doesn't help us, are you going to help? Are you going to give us the money? I'll give you the money. I said, oh, so the string is attached, you're going to give us the money, but the minute you need it back, you're going to take it from us. I said, in no disrespect, Mark, but when the $950,000 we borrowed from you for the UI, remember that?
Absolutely.
I said, the minute it came in the door, you took it from us.
He took it.
I understand the Board of Education thing, I get it, I said, but it was gone the second we got it back. I said, are you gonna take the money from us as soon as we get it back, or as soon as you need it? So that, and I don't remember his answer, but, he'd like us to go to 500. And I said, okay, if we go to 500, I'm gonna tell you, and I didn't use any names. I said, but there's gonna be several people that are gonna say, give me 2 or 3 years, we're gonna go back up. We're gonna raise the next $500. I said, just be aware of it. I said, because there's guys on the board that want $1,000. I said, and that kind of includes, I'll tell you right now, that includes me. Because we're running out of money. We have no money to do anything. We're trying to remain efficient, and we're doing all these upgrades to become efficient. And it's starting to show, we're getting money back from the state, I said, and remember one thing, 15 years ago when we did the upgrade, and I know you remember this one, is we had scum rigs. And I said, Ed wanted scum rigs down, hands down. We need the scum rigs. But it was nixed because it was over the budget. And it was actually if I remember, Matt, you weren't involved. It was an ad alternate to the contract, I said, and because, it was being financed by the city, we didn't accept it. I said, now, here we are 15 years later, we just spent, a couple $1 million upgrading the plant with fine air bubblers. So it took us 15 years to do that upgrade. When I said, now, in hindsight, the scum rigs, they weren't worth it anyway, with all this new technology in 15 years. So maybe it is better we waited because we got a better system. I think you guys would probably agree. I remember Alan asked Kane, say, well, you can just take a rope I remember this. I remember this. You can take a rope, and you can walk down the side, and you can push it into this trough, the scum into the trough. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, Alan, we're upgrading our plant for $38 million. We're gonna have these guys stand out there with a rope and pull the scum to this truck? No way.
Take a bath while they're at it.
Yeah, right. So in the end, it paid off that we waited 15 years. We have a 10 times better system. As you go around that plant, you go look at the top of those tanks now, it's like unbelievably different than it's been over the past 5 or 6 or 7 years. So, but the long and short of it is that he's willing to help us. If we need some financing, for me, the only downside is now, because he's gonna help us to finance it, he might say, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't do that. I want to remain, as we are, an autonomous board, that we make our decisions. But if we're gonna be getting money from the city, then in some ways, okay, we owe him the respect of, okay, we need to borrow 500,000 or whatever, you know. So it's gonna be your decision, our decision. I'm willing to take a shot and say, okay, let's go $500, but beware that there's some board members that are gonna want that next $500 in 2 or 3 years. We're gonna have another public hearing, so.
Matt wanted to.
They might use the city money, but they always take it back. And as far as being an autonomous commission, we worked hard, discussed it thoroughly, and my feeling is we stay with $1,000.
Again, his comment, you know, is because what's going on with the virus, and you know, $1,000 is a lot of money, you know, and.
But for him to throw away.
Right. I'll have my say, and I agree with you, Ed, but part of me looks back and thinks, okay, now, I'm not gonna say I don't care about the developer. What's gonna happen is the developer it goes to the resident. Whoever buys that unit is gonna end up paying that extra money anyway, so it's really gonna go to the resident, not necessarily the developer. So I don't feel sorry for the developers in that respect. My feeling is, I would like this, and I'm gonna have my say, is $500, and let's go back 2 or 3 years. But every member here, and John, you can't necessarily, you're gonna have to hold off on your decision because you don't know anything about it yet. Bill, you should be okay. I think you know enough about it, Bill. And I'm gonna go around the table and ask.
Well, my statement's gonna get cast aside anyways, because I'm the only Democrat sitting on it.
It doesn't matter.
It matters a lot to certain people.
I'm not voting on my position. I'm voting on what I think is.
So am I.
Is reasonable, and I agree with you. I just think, okay, let's try $500, and then in 2 or 3 years we have another public hearing, and then we raise it. But everybody's got their own say. Steve?
Stick with $1,000 too.
Okay. John, you have a pass on this one. Bill, are you comfortable enough to make a decision?
For 500.
Mr. Ramian?
I was, going for the 1,000, but if the mayor is willing to pick up the 500 right now, we can go back in a couple of years. I think it keeps both parties happy, so I'd be willing to go with the 500.
The mayor's not picking it up, is he?
Oh, he said he would.
He's gonna,
Still charging them,
if,
builders.
but we're only charging the builders $500.
Yeah, it is, yes.
And if we have any projects,
Yeah.
it's basically gonna come out of our funds. Which so it's kinda like, okay, we're paying for it, or the city's paying for it. You know, so somehow, you know, and then Mark's, you know, and I hear Mark, you know, our credit rating is good, we can borrow whatever we need to borrow. And I'm kinda thinking this through, trying to think this thing through without being irrational about it. You know, the reality is, it's gonna come back to the resident who buys the unit anyway. So now it's $500 less. Of course, it's per EDU, so that's where the difference is. Now the question is, and now that I'm thinking about it, don't know if I really remember asking him. So if we borrow the money, do we pay him back, and then it comes out of our fund? Which comes back to what you're saying,
Yeah.
which comes back to the $1,000 issue. Does it come out of our funds and then we're still short because we're only, you know what I'm saying? So that makes practical sense. If we did, you know, as it is, we haven't had any new projects come across us in quite a while, in 3 or 4 months. You know, how much, he's worried it's gonna stifle in the growth in Shelton. My answer is, we need to slow down a little bit. You know, I mean, I get his points and I know what he's trying to do, but, I personally moved up here because of the small town growth, small town. Shelton, you know, 33 years ago, hasn't become a small town anymore.
A lot of apartments.
You know, yeah, so, he, of course, you know, he's interested in the growth, and you gotta listen to him, you gotta hear him. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with him.
No.
You know, so the reality is the other $500, if we need the other $500 per EDU, then what do we do? Does it come out of our funds? Do we pay him back, or does he just forgive it and say the part of, it gets spread across the city?
That's how I interpret it. I don't know if that's true though, so maybe you should check with him and see that.
Maybe get
And then we'll go to the 1,000 and say, oh, if you're not gonna, if we have to pay, it's like taking $500 out of this pocket, and then next week we gotta take $500, it doesn't make any sense, let's take the $1,000 out. But if he'll pick up whatever's above and beyond that, then we're making out. I don't know if he'll do that.
That we never pay the city back.
That we don't pay the city back, right.
It's something I didn't think about when
I
we're
think
just
that's
talking
true.
about now, I'm thinking about it.
Mr. Chairman, Matt said he wanted to talk on 5B. I don't know if he had something to add about the connection fees.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I didn't have anything to add. I wanted to be available for if there are specific questions regarding it.
Okay. So, you know, it's kind of like, there's a lot of good arguments for both sides. And the main argument is, does he forgive our debt? And it gets spread across all of the 39,000 residents in their taxes. So that's a good point. It's something, you know, so my question then to everybody, Bill, I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
Well, I was agreeing as far as get a clarification from the mayor. We do run short. Are you gonna pitch in, or are we just gonna, what was the money we're gonna spend on the process of 7 years? So if that's the case, then we might as well go for $1,000.
Exactly.
All right, so you wanna hold off?
I think, you know, if it's a loan, I'd stick with 1,000. If it's gonna be forgiven, you know, I'd go with the 500. You know what I'm saying?
If it's a grant, basically, we're just giving you the money, and, you know, I would just go with the 500.
So it sounds like we all agree on the concept that if we have to pay it back, let's just do the $1,000 now.
Exactly.
Right? Everybody agrees, right?
Right.
And then, so now that's pretty much the answer. The answer is we hold off on voting. We vote next month. I get clarification whether it's gonna be a forgiven loan or a grant, as Bill said. And if it's not a forgiven loan, then and I'm gonna tell him that. That's what it's gonna come, that's what the meeting, you might be listening to the meeting, you might read the minutes, you might ask, I don't know.
Wait. You get the information, you want it, you want it put in writing.
That's gonna be virtually impossible. You don't really think that he's gonna put that in writing, do you?
Then, what's the sense of asking?
Well, here's the next answer to that. Good point, let's play this through. We vote on $500, right? We borrow money to do our upgrades, right? And then we ask, and then we say, okay, and he asks for the money, and he asks for the money. And the following 2 or 3 months later, we go, we have the vote again, and we have a public hearing.
That's the best way to do it.
So I would be cautiously optimistic to say, just now, I'm not saying we're gonna vote on it. Go with the $500. Cross, find out where it takes us. If we don't, if it's, I'd rather now get the answer now. He's not gonna, that will never happen. Never. In a million years. So, what do you guys wanna do? You wanna hold off? You tell me. I'm willing to hold off and ask the question. If you just want to get it out of the way now and say, careful how you say it, I don't believe it.
I think we should hold off.
Yeah.
So you get the answer, then we can vote. I don't think anybody here is sure what's going on with him, with the loan, pay it back or not. I don't.
What do you think? You okay with that?
No.
No?
I say go for the 1,000 and forget it. If you don't wanna do it, we'll just go ahead and do it on our own.
Steve?
I would, go with Don and, wait next month.
Bill?
Yeah, wait till next week.
All right, so let's table the vote. I'll get an answer if, and I'm gonna have to come back with the best face to tell you exactly how I feel about it. All right, so let's,
Need a motion?
yeah, probably should.
I move we table the motion for connection fees, table the discussion on connection fees until, the October meeting.
Second.
Okay, and explain the reason why. So Karen has it on there.
The discussion is whether or not we want to borrow spend $500 or $1,000 per EDU, and if we do the 500, will the mayor reimburse us, or will he take the money from us at the end of the, fiscal year or during the fiscal year?
All in favor?
Aye.
Bill, you okay with that, Bill?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna wait till next month. All right, that fair? Nothing else on connection fees? Infonet, we talked about 4C. 6A, date and time of future WPCA board meetings. So, I got some information from both the mayor and Jack Basher, that we can actually now have our meetings, and I'm gonna recommend we still stay with the second Wednesday of the month, but we have them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, instead of 9 o'clock in the morning, because I'm still working it, and I gotta take half a day off, so I'm gonna recommend, I was a little surprised, but I was told we can do it. And I thought that we were being held to this time, we had a very narrow window of time that we were allowed to have meetings. So, but I found out surprisingly enough that we can have them anytime.
Gonna have them in the night like we had them before?
Well, let's start with 4 o'clock. I'd rather go to night. I didn't ask that question. I was just happy to get 4 o'clock and not 9 o'clock.
City Hall's closed at 6 right now.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
That's what the answer was. I forgot.
Well, we leave at 2, but the building is secured at 6, the alarm's go on.
Okay.
Okay, so that's right, that's the answer. So we continue the second Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock for now. And assuming our meetings generally go for an hour, hour and a half, we've never, not in a long time, have gone more than, an hour and a half or 2 hours, from what I can ever remember.
Is your commissioners good with that?
I'm gonna ask a question now,
Oh, okay.
Mr.
It's
Administrator.
kind of a problem, sorry.
It's a problem?
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock is, if it was 5 o'clock, I could get, I go to work, between noon and 4, noon to 5. I like 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening, or maybe 5 o'clock, if we're gonna do it.
Okay, so the only thing with 5 o'clock is we have to be done at 6. They're gonna shut the lights out, we're done. We keep it to you wanna make it a 4:30 meeting, does 4:30 doesn't work?
4:30 is better than 4, yeah. 4:30 is better than 4.
Can you call in?
Wants to do it at 4:30.
Can you call in from where you are?
Well, I'm self-employed, but it's the fact that I gotta leave, and, I'm not gonna go back, but like, 9 o'clock is beautiful now. 7 o'clock would be even better, but we're not gonna do that because they're closing. So, 4:30 is better than 4.
You're self-employed and I work for somebody, so I trump you, because I gotta answer to somebody. You just gotta answer to yourself. No disrespect, Steve, you know what I'm saying?
Not, yeah, but with the 4:30 be temporary, eventually we go
Yes.
back to the 7 o'clock?
We're hoping, that's what the goal would be, is.
As soon as the COVID stuff is over, then they'll open City Hall, and the aldermen will meet at night and stuff like that.
From now, who knows?
Right,
Probably be into next year.
yeah, absolutely.
Nah, November 4th.
Yeah.
November 4th,
COVID will go away.
Yeah, no, I forgot.
It's gonna go away.
just like it was going away back in Easter.
At 4:30, all right?
Geez, I'm very busy.
Yeah, I know. On 4:30 with you,
How's the
all
tea
right?
times at 4?
At night would be best, but.
Well, that's out for all of us, including, we can't, with that one, we can't, so, Bill?
Yeah, 4:30 is fine.
Don?
Fine.
All right, so let's make it 4:30, which means it gives us an hour and a half, which is more than enough time.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think we've ever gone past an hour and a half for a meeting.
Mr. Chairman, is this the second Wednesday of the month?
It's gonna remain the second Wednesday, so this way in our brains, for, like you and me, for all these years, I came yesterday, I said, oh shoot, I thought it was Wednesday. So my brain's conditioned for the second Wednesday. So we're gonna keep it the second Wednesday, and it's gonna be called a special meeting. If you notice, they're called special meetings.
Right.
Because it's not a regular 7 o'clock meeting, so second Wednesday at 4:30. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
The 4:30 meeting still considered a special meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause it was, the meetings that were published way back when,
Right.
they're for 7 o'clock at night, we can't have them. So that's why it's called special, yeah.
Bills rendered, Fuss O'Neill, XXXX. Matt, we don't owe you any money?
No money.
Not this month, no.
That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Matt, taking a step back, I should have asked you, have you put together our priority list for this year?
It's a running list that I do keep up to date, but I really want to sit down with you guys and kind of go over it first, especially Ernie and Pete.
Okay, can you be here next meeting at, October's meeting?
Yes, yeah, I'll try to. What I'll do is I'll put on my calendar, meet with them ahead of time.
And then, I don't know, Ed and Garrett, if you guys have anything in the priority list, make sure you talk to Matt about. I'm sure you guys are talking to him anyway. Correct?
There's a few things on the plant side too.
All right. So can you get that priority list going again?
Yes.
And I don't expect you to have dollar values associated with it, because this is gonna come back to our cost per EDU of raising it. $1,000 is what are our priorities and how do we spread them out over a 6 or 8 month period or a year period? Your report. So attempt to put dollar values, orders of magnitude, Matt.
cucumber list.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the priority list, you're right. We would try to look at the projects, see which ones are just more of an annual maintenance expense versus one-time projects, and then we would try to schedule them out over a 10-year period to help you set EDU rates.
Okay. 6C, sewer administrators report.
Yeah. I know there's a little bit of redundancy in this thing, but, we just wanted Bill and John, we just, of course, welcome board. Bill's been here for a little bit now. And this is a very savvy board, so we're hoping that both of you can add something to these wise gentlemen, in the course of the future meetings. As far as, inspections, we've had, there isn't that many. We had, 3 new tie-ins, 1 repair and 3 cappings of, sewer laterals buildings were gonna be demolished and, new ones in their place. In an effort to, facilitate one of the, we found a buried manhole, off the PD lateral, and, it was 7 feet below ground, 7 feet.
Where was that at?
In the senior center's parking lot. Yeah,
Uh-oh,
yeah, 7 feet.
we excavated.
So I was just a bit surprised there. As Pete has mentioned, he's been working with a software company in our IT department to render an additional work supply for, basically for me. So I can access it when, you know, when he's out or if he's on vacation or if I'm in early.
Or if I die.
Well, don't say that. And, we're really grateful. I personally wanted to add that Pete has been an invaluable contributor, via the asset management program he monitors daily. And I frequently call on the services, from the office or from the field for, invert depths, manhole location, and just a host of stuff. So, it's really great. It's a pleasure to be working with him. And, he also helps us when when they're going to pull up building permits. We've had this situation happen where they've issued permits, and literally built, an addition over our sewer mains. So we've, changed that process, and Pete's been invaluable, helping me with, the location of the sanitary sewer, our, infrastructure.
So let me stop for 1 second about Pete. So believe it, 10 years. Okay, so
Yeah, 10 years.
when Pete came on 10 years ago, it took, we as a board were looking for getting somebody to do this. This InfoNet came across 10 years ago. And it took me, quite a few years to convince the mayor that we need somebody in this position. And it took quite a long time. I'm going to guess at least a couple of years. 3 years. The point of it is that it was definitely needed, but the bigger point of it is that the money we collect almost pays for Pete. So it's a wash type of thing. That okay, we're funding it, and you're paying through the city coffers, but we're funding it, and it's a break even. So to me it was a no-brainer because we needed the system. It was kind of a new system, and in 10 years, it's like unbelievable what this program does for us and shows us. And probably, and you can speak for it, probably doesn't even give you half the information that we can really get from it yet.
Oh, yeah, there's statistical analysis and, projections and stuff like that, but, we don't tamper with that one right now. We concentrate on using it, like I said, it's not a map program, it's an asset management system. But I changed it. Can't say that, can I? I, modified a little bit, and we get some great maps for like when we issue a project, and we're gonna do 5,000 feet of cleaning, we give the guys a spreadsheet, maps, and tell them, where it's located and what the manhole numbers are, and then they feed us back the information, we upload it. So it's a great system. There's about 10 towns in Connecticut that are using Innovise systems, and we're one of them. And it was a good investment that they made way back when.
I'm sorry, Ernie, go ahead.
No, and I don't want to sell anyone else short. John and Bill, I'm really kind of saying this for your benefit. I mean, the rest of the board knows these individuals. I just basically wanted to point out that these individuals, our administrative aide, Lori, she's kind of like the nucleus to our operations, and our consulting engineer, Matt. Both individuals add immensely to, us as a team. And I just wanted to point that out, a little feather in their cap. Some of the new, we've got new EDUs on the buildings that are being developed. So I just wanted, and Matt has been helpful in that department to verify my math. And right now we got, just to give you an overview of what our department is doing, we've got a lot of bids that have expired. We got to, go out to bid for new maintenance contracts on various aspects of maintaining the sewers, the infrastructure. So that's all we have from.
You want to talk about the root ball?
Not really. I don't want to bore the hell out of everybody, but there's been, what the chairman is pointing out is that we've had, due to the help of this system that's in place, this info management and the video of all the sewer lines, we have a root ball down guns, which just before the plant. It's got to be about this big. It's in the 24-inch RCP pipe. and, we're going to, go and excavate. And we found that there's a lateral that's going in from, I don't know the place where it is, this is between Wharf Street and, what's that other street? Where the, No, Hull's the other way, up, the other way. Where the new dog pound is. So anyway. Brewster, thank you. Between Brewster and Wharf on the east side of the street in the, so apparently the lateral coming from the building across the street there, was severed, it cut deliberately and put into the new bypass, the 24-inch, PVC line. And I don't know what they did, they didn't cap it or something, but roots are growing in through the remaining section that went into the RCP pipe. So we've, consequently, we have, this huge root ball, and Pete's got pictures of it from the 2012, and, they go in, we treat it with, the root control, the chemicals, but this thing just keeps growing back, so we're gonna make an aggressive, thing to remove the lateral of the pipe, and so we don't have this, reoccurring problem, wasting money on root control, waste of money, get the bull by the horns and remove the thing. So, yeah, we have that, going on. So it's always fun here at the sewer department. Is there any questions from anyone? Like where your
There's a
bacon and
picture
egg
of it.
sandwiches are?
There's a picture of it, everybody wants to see it. That's a 24-inch line, it's occupying a big part of it, and it's the main artery going to the plant, so,
That's pretty good size.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be done by an outside contractor?
No, I took, Ed's, guys, and we excavated it, a couple days ago. We went down. My only concerns were, I hadn't done enough research with Pete, and I was concerned that lateral was still coming, live. And I figured maybe it's just one, water closet that was tied into it, and there's not enough flow for them to realize it's just backup. So I was, hesitant about cutting it off until we, literally, Pete, did a great find yesterday. He found that, some charts maps from, McGuire that officially said that sewer line was, cut back to the new bypass line, the 24-inch PVC bypass line. So that was like finding gold. Now we knew,
Nobody's connected.
that it's not connected. So we're gonna make another attempt to go in and, excavate down to the lateral, remove the lateral from the RCP pipe, mesh it, cover it, parge it over, and it'll be done, once and for all. So.
Question for Garrett. The overflow line, right, that's what we called it, remember? Do you monitor the lines as far as what's coming in from each line?
Nothing comes in from that line, that's it.
Pipes back.
Fills up, it'll back up into that pipe.
You haven't seen that, I mean, you're able to detect when that detects?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I got water up to my knees, I know that pipe's probably full.
Okay, all right, all right.
Any other questions?
I think we should change, Mr. Pavone's title to prospector instead of.
He takes care of the prostates,
Prostate.
prostate. Matt, you all set?
Yep, I'm all set. Thanks, Mike.
Wake up now.
Item,
Yeah, you may want to explain to John how the budget works, because every time you're saying that, like we're a separate entity, I don't know if John, that's quick thing you can do,
yeah,
Like-
we,
based off the fees versus, what's going on.
so the benefit connection charge, there's two charges that we charge as a board. And one is the benefit connection charge, so when there's what we call an EDU, equivalent dwelling unit. Bill, I don't know, are you familiar with all this? You might be.
Not a little bit, but not.
Oh, sorry,
So even if you go on the website, here's what I would recommend, go on the City of Shelton website and go to the Wpca, and we've got a bunch of forms there. And the forms describe on what the EDU is and how we calculate the dollars of equivalent dwelling unit. So 15 years ago, before we're asking for this increase, we valued our plant asset at 40 million. So you take that by 210 gallons per day, that's what an average, and then you divide it out, there's the math, there's the calculation, if you look on online, and it gives us, Matt, tell me if I'm right, 19,000 EDUs, Matt?
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Right, around 19,000 EDUs. So then each new project that comes in, the math is that if it's I'm going to use if the flow is 2,000 gallons divided by 210 gallons per day is your average, the math works out that it's $2,100 for, and if you could see the math online. We actually did a really good job, and this is years that we've developed this whole thing, on how we arrived at the $2,100. And this is for the developers putting up any new project. So, any of these projects, some of these projects we've collected $350,000. Like the Marks on Bridgeport Avenue, that apartment unit, we collect, I believe, $350,000 or something like that. So we collect money for these new projects that help us upgrade our system, because we value our system at $40 million. Now today, because what Matt did was went to means to tell you what the cost of our system should cost us, and now it's $56 million. You divide that out and you get a different EDU, so it comes up to $3,100. We're asking for $3,100 per EDU now, instead of $2,100. So that's the $1,000 we're all talking about and voting on. So go on the website. You can see the math. We developed that whole thing, I think it works fantastic. At that time I remember Matt might have helped. Matt helped us with it. And then the other one is the sewer user fee, which is $209, $203. We all pay that if you're on the sewer system. And I tell people, for you to flush your toilet and take a shower 365 days a year, we're only charging you $203 per year. Is like, we are the lowest, practically the lowest in the state.
Yeah.
Think about it, 365 days, you get to do that for $203. Greenwich is like 890, Stanford is like 750. I mean, some of the numbers that are out there, we are like the second or third lowest out of the 69 towns.
Stratford is high.
Stratford's high.
Well, the other towns, like Bridgeport, Trumbull, they go by water usage.
Right.
Which, Shelton's great, at least it's a flat rate.
We talked about that.
Some people are getting advantage, some people aren't, it all depends.
Right. We talked about that, but, now you gotta have the water company send us the water bills for everybody, and then for me, it's much more involved. We talked about that extensively, Bill. And we all think that the fairest way was how we do it. It's a flat rate.
Oh, no, it is the fairest way.
And nobody can ever argue that we're not being fair. And that's why when we raise our rates and we only raise a buck or two, not every single year. When we have our public hearing, it's 15 minutes public hearing, because nobody's here to complain that they're paying $203. And rightfully so. So those are the two fees that we collect. The $203 goes directly to us for our $2 million budget, $2.2 million budget. That helps. That's how we build our $2.2 million budget off that. The benefit connection charges, we call it a benefit connection charge because you have the benefit as a developer to hook into our system that we've been building for you developers over all these years. So that's a little bit of the mayor's argument, is that, well, because we're raising this so much that, we're gonna stifle development, right? I hear you, I don't have a positive or negative to say about it, I hear you. So, we all agree that we think it should be 1,000, but we're gonna give the mayor the benefit of the doubt, we're gonna talk to him, we're gonna ask him questions. So, those are the kind of two fees, John, that we charge.
It's only that.
Financial statement, anything else in that financial statement? So we do have a balance, so now you put this financial statement together, right?
No, actually, I'll Lori do it for us.
Nice, that's a nice job.
Yeah.
We used to get money from the state when we were doing, what is it called, help me, Ed. When we got money from the state to do the upgrade 15 years ago, we had extra money left over and we were using it.
Grants?
No. Matt, help me out.
Bond referendum.
What?
Bond referendum.
It was referendum money.
Referendum money. So we ran out of referendum money 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So now we're on our own, so everything that we do, comes out of our pocket. So it's nice that we've got, we got something, we're still working, on this money. So what we do is, you could see you can see the $2,100 on here, what we're collecting from everybody. Now, usually some of these guys, we actually had John Gades give us the entire $190,000, $200,000?
Oh, I think he was,
From Primrose, because
Yeah.
he was afraid we were gonna raise the rates on him.
Yeah.
We voted him in January, and he's at the 2,100, so we got his money before he broke ground, which is nice. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And we got it before, so. Any questions on the, tell Lori did a nice job on the financial.
I will.
That's perfect,
Yep.
that's awesome. Any questions on the financial statement?
No question.
Hearing none,
It is time to close this meeting. I make a motion that we adjourn.
so moved.
you just killed everybody.
Yeah, another week.
This will be interesting, what he said.
Ed,
Thanks
for
Interesting what he said.
your report.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how he thinks we're getting it right. You think he's better than anybody else. It's gonna. I don't know how to flow. It's gonna be one of those things that either I'm gonna trust what he's telling me, and you might wanna come with me.
Okay, I'll say goodbye, everybody. I can still hear the meeting going on, though.
Karen, you're saying something?
Oil and water there, man.
Yeah, I know. You don't
Yeah, I said I can still hear the conversation because it's still recording, but I'll say goodbye.
All right, thanks, we're gonna cut you off now.
Thanks.
wanna come with me?
Bye.